Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. As promised, today I have a book review of the book that I finally finished, and that's Circe by Madeline Miller. So first things first, who would like this book? If you've read any of the any of the Rick Riordan books, the Percy Jackson series, or if you've read like Song of Achilles, which is her other book, then this book is right up your alley. I bought this book when it first came out. I know that's really bad. And I started reading it and I couldn't get into it. I was like, what is going on? Why is she like they were whipping I cannot remember who they were whipping in this chamber, and she is the only person that went she's the only Titan that went to help him afterwards. And I got to the point I was like, this book is so boring. But I said everybody said it was great, so I said let me finish it, and I got the Audible version of it, and that really stimulated me to finish reading it. So I've done both on and off. I've listened to some and then I would read some. And as I'm listening, I would highlight quotes that I like, which I often do in a book that I think I'm either going to reread or I'm going to use for academic purposes. But so let's talk about this book. So it tells the tale of Circe, who's a Titan. She is one of the only Titans who, if I'm remembering correctly, she's the only Titan who did not fight in the battle of the Olympians, gods, and the Titan gods. I think, and that was one of her downfalls. They don't talk about this in the story, but if I remember correctly, that is what happened with Circe. So, long story short, this book is basically, it's not necessarily a love story, but it's interesting how love can create a ripple effect. It's almost like love is a pebble that you throw into a lake and it just keeps rippling and rippling and rippling. And sometimes the effect isn't necessarily what you want. And Circe falls in love with someone, and Circe's a Titan, so she's immortal. She falls in love with a mortal, and she basically says, I want him. I want to turn him into a god so we can be together eternally. Everybody's like, no, you can't do that. You don't have those powers. That's foolish. You're a foolish girl. You know, you will live a million lives compared to his one puny life. Well, she does it anyway, and it backfires on her. And I think that's the beginning of the scarring of her, if you will say, because the man she wanted to love falls in love with someone else. And in rebellion of it, she doesn't hurt the man, she hurts the subject of his attention, which is so typical. I mean, people still do that today, and this is, you know, a story told thousands of years ago. And that just creates the ripple. She is banished to an island. I cannot remember the name, and I'm not even trying to pronounce it. And then the story just kind of takes off from there. It talks about how she comes a hold of her powers. You know, she's a sorceress, she's a witch, but she's also a goddess. And she's stranded on this island, and suitors come, Hermes comes a lot. I actually don't like Hermes. And there's a part where you can almost see what is happening, and I knew what was going to happen, and I actually stopped listening. I turned the book off and I walked away from it. I said, I don't want to listen anymore, because I knew what was coming and there's nothing you can do about it. And of course it happened the way I thought it was, and it was written in such a way that there wasn't very many details, but the few drops of details that the author gives us, you feel it. Like, you're pissed. You're not only mad at the people that, you know, do this harsh act to her, but you're mad at her because you're like, you're a goddess. You've seen what men and women can do. Like, you've seen the hatred they can be, and yet you are ignorant to it. So that also was like another ripple, because after that she became a bad you know what. I was like, okay, Circe, all right. And she was so alone in this island that she actually found a sense of pleasure in repeating this, and repeating this, because she always had people coming to her island seeking, you know, seeking refuge. And she was like, okay, I got you. So time moves on. Obviously, you know, she meets Odysseus, and then we all know what happened with that. And then she meets, oh God, I cannot think of his name. his name is similar to her son's name. I feel like I'm doing a bad job. I don't want to give it away, but the story progresses, and eventually she leaves the island, and she comes back, and then the story ends. So first, let's talk about the writing. The writing is beautiful. Madeline Miller has a way with words. She doesn't give you these big clusters of events. She kind of weaves the story, because we all know the stories. I mean, there's nothing new here. What she's done is taken something old and reweaved it into something new and beautiful. She's figured out a way to retell the story from Circe's point of view, giving her empathy without taking away from the stories we all know. That makes sense. Because if I remember correctly, when I studied Greek mythology, Circe was the bad one. Even though she didn't really fight with the Titans, she still turned people into monsters, and she turned men into pigs. But you never know why she does it. And in this book, she gets her agency. You know why she does it. There were moments in this story that I wish Madeline would have given us more. I think she's just relying on the fact that my reader will know what I'm talking about, or my reader can put pieces together. We see a lot of characters through Greek mythology, especially during the Trojan War. Ajax and, not Hercules, Odysseus and Patroclus and guy with the arrow in his Achilles. We see all those people. We see Penelope. We see Athena. I've never liked Athena. I still don't like her. Hermes. We never see like Zeus or Hera, because they really didn't interact with her directly. It was more like Zeus said she needs to go here, and she went there. So yeah, Madeline Miller definitely, she gave you the story without giving you too much, but there were sometimes I was like, well, I'd like to know more. I mean, I don't know these characters, these third-hand Greek characters. I don't know what they did. Can you explain, please? And then I guess for me, I didn't necessarily like the ending. It just kind of ended on like a cliff. You're like, wait, is she happy? Is she leaving? What is going on? So for me, I didn't like the way it ended. I didn't want it to end because I wanted more. And I mean, I guess that's the sign of a good book. The Audible version, phenomenal. The young lady who narrates it, she has like a very, I don't want to say this because I haven't heard all posh British people, but she reminds me, or what I would think like a very posh British person would sound like. She does all the emotions well. She does the male characters well. A lot of times when I come across Audible books that are narrated by females, they have a hard time doing the male voices, whereas men tend, and I'm not trying to be like picky here, men tend to do female voices better to me than women do male voices. But I think she carried it well in this, in the Audible version. What else? And it's also nice when you're reading books with names that you don't know how to pronounce, to have someone else pronounce it to you. The only downfall is I also listened to A Song of Achilles, and it wasn't the same narrator, but they both pronounce Patroclus completely different, which was really weird to me, because I was used to Patroclus being pronounced Patroclus, but in this book she pronounced it like Pakti or something like that, and I was like, I knew who she was talking about because she clearly said Patroclus was Achilles' lover, so I'm like, I know who she's talking about. But it like caught, and it put like a nick in the story for me. I was like, wait, what? So yeah, that's my only clutch. But other than that, I highly recommend it. If you can get it on Audible, do it on Audible. If you are a book person and you need to physically read it, or do both like I did. I give this a 4 out of 5. Like I said, I wanted more, but it didn't like leave me like, oh my god, that really wasn't that great. And although, like I said, the first couple chapters were hard to get through, but once she was exiled and she got on the island, that's when the story really happened. So yes, read it, enjoy it, love it. I'm now reading a good old Sophia Kinsella book. It's an old book called Surprise Me. So once I get done with that, I will review that. And that's it. Bye.